Your Honor, I am entitled to emotional compensation for being deliberately excluded from a neighborhood celebration that directly affected my reputation as HOA president. Those were the actual words that came out of Patricia Summers' mouth in court. She stood there in a pastel blue blazer with an oversized HOA pin glinting under the lights like she thought she was some kind of official dignitary. The judge slowly pulled off his glasses, massaged his forehead, and looked at her with something between disbelief and exhaustion. "You're suing your neighbor? Because he didn't invite you to his wedding?" he asked. Patricia, clutching a massive 3-ring binder labeled social violations and community harm records, nodded with complete seriousness. I sat in the back row with my new wife Emily, both of us biting our lips to keep from laughing out loud. The judge actually chuckled himself before shaking his head. "Ma'am," he said, "this is not a legal matter. This is a misuse of the court's time. Honestly, this is the most ridiculous filing I've seen in 3 decades. So let me rewind and explain how I even ended up here, being dragged into small claims court by my HOA president over something as absurd as a wedding invitation. My name is Daniel Morrison. I'm 32 and I work in software development. About a year and a half ago, I made the mistake of buying a house in Riverside Gardens, a suburban neighborhood where Patricia reigned as HOA president. And make no mistake, she didn't just serve as president, she treated it like she was running a mini kingdom. This woman once issued a $300 fine to a neighbor because their trash can sat at the curb for 6 minutes longer than allowed. Every Sunday morning, she was out with a ruler, measuring lawn height like it was a military inspection. She had her own bizarre violation system with color codes and points that no one could make. Offensive, but everyone feared. I'd been living there quietly, keeping my head down, doing everything by the book to avoid Patricia's wrath. Around that time, I met Emily at a local cafe where she worked as a vet tech. A year later, I proposed, and we planned a small backyard wedding. About 40 guests, just family and close friends. Not once did it cross my mind to invite Patricia, the woman who once accused me of ruining neighborhood aesthetics because my car's window tint was 2% darker than HOA rules. The wedding was everything we wanted. String lights in the yard, a small tent, Emily's cousin playing acoustic guitar, music wrapped up by 10 p.m. sharp in compliance with the HOA noise rules. I even filed the required event notice with the HOA 2 weeks in advance since it was more than 20 people. I thought I'd covered everything. What I hadn't considered was Patricia's ego. The very next day, I came home to find a violation taped to my door. It accused me of unauthorized event execution and failure to include HOA leadership in community bonding. Along with it, a $500 fine. At first, I laughed, but then the emails started, 12 of them in 3 days, each one angrier than the last. According to Patricia, the HOA president had the right to be present at all major social gatherings to enforce standards and ensure compliance. She even claimed my decision not to invite her had caused her social exclusion trauma. I ignored the emails and formally contested the fine, assuming that would settle things. Nope, Patricia doubled down. She called an emergency HOA meeting and tried to pass a rule that would require all residents to invite board members to private events. When that failed, she went into full petty war mode. Suddenly, I was getting dinged for every ridiculous thing she could invent. My mailbox was supposedly an inch too far to the left. A tiny oil stain in my driveway violated neighborhood cleanliness. Even my doorbell chime was deemed disruptive to the acoustic harmony of the street. The breaking point came when Patricia filed an actual small claims lawsuit against me. She demanded $3,000 for emotional distress, reputational harm, and diminished leadership credibility. In her complaint, she argued that excluding her from my wedding weakened her authority and damaged her ability to govern the HOA. She itemized everything too. $500 for therapy sessions she claimed she needed, $1,000 for loss of social capital, and $500 for missed networking opportunities and celebratory participation rights. I was floored. I couldn't believe I needed a lawyer for this circus. Luckily, my buddy James, a property lawyer, agreed to represent me, mostly because he found the case so hilarious. Together we started gathering testimonies from 17 different neighbors who'd all had run-ins with Patricia's obsessive power trips.